Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Shanika Dupree, your Navy transition coach, and this is where you will learn how to transition in and out of the Navy. If you are at all interested in learning about the Navy Reserves, civilian life, like after the Navy, then make sure that you subscribe to this channel and like this video. First and foremost, please excuse the noise in the background. I'm actually at drill weekend and they're doing a Marine Corps ball here in the area, so they're setting up and everything, but I wanted a nice little spot so I can go ahead and record my videos really quick because I'm only recording on drill weekends. That's it, because I'm doing things during the rest of the month, but I want to make sure that I get back to regularly giving you guys some content, you know. But this one's going to be quick, but it's a question that I get more often than not, which is, what is FTS, full-time support? It's actually a different name now. It's actually TAR, and I should have looked that up before I came on here. I apologize. But this video is not going to be super long. I really want to just do a Q&A really quick with you guys, answer a lot of the questions that people have about FTS. So I got my notes, so if you see me looking down, it's just because I'm looking at my notes to make sure I tell you guys the right thing. So the first question is, what is Navy full-time support, or TAR? Navy full-time support is a program to train and administer the Navy Reserves. I try to read it exactly how it says on the actual instruction, but for people to understand it, it's essentially taking someone that's in the reserve component, that's a reservist, right? And putting them on active duty so that they can be well trained. It's like training the reservists, but making sure that they are on full-time orders. I don't know if that makes any sense. I hope it does. I'm gonna try and say it different. Let's say that I am a part of the reserve component, right? But I'm in a unit and my unit needs more people to have enough knowledge in this particular area. So they take a person, they send them to follow active duty people and do everything that the active duty people do, right? That's kind of what an FTS is. So these are 3-year, well, for the officers it's 3 years at a time, but honey, that's, you know, this is why people are so confused about this, because it is a confusing position. So let's just go ahead and move on. Maybe as I move on, you'll begin to understand more about the Navy, the FTS program. So let's talk about how exactly do you become an FTS sailor, full-time support, or TAR sailor. There are a couple different ways. You can actually join as a straight-up civilian, and be in FTS, right? You sign your contract into the military as a full-time support sailor. You can be a reservist, like you just said, hey, I want to be an engineman in the reserves, and then you're like, well, I think I want to do FTS now. I think I want to be on full-time support for the reserves. It's like, I mean, it's kind of in the name, full-time support. You are a reservist that's supporting the active duty component full-time. Look, we got it. Okay, so that's one. Well, those are two ways. And then the other way is when you're leaving off of your original active duty contract. And so there's a program that you have to go through to try and do something different in the military, right? And so that program gives you some different options. You can go reserves, you can get out completely, you can be an FTS. So you'll just say, hey, career counselor, I want to try FTS. And so that's the other way that you can actually become a full-time support sailor. So again, what you do as a full-time support sailor is serve in demanding billets on the active side. So again, full-time support. I'm a reservist, but I'm fully supporting the active component, right? But the thing about this is that you, how do I say this? You don't really get a say as to where you go. Like, you might, but most likely you won't get a say. You'll go to where you're actually needed, and that can be on shore duty, that can be on sea duty. Don't listen to people when they say, oh well, FTS don't go on ships. Oh yes they do, yes they do. Don't be lied to, okay? And then the other thing about that is you stay at these locations a lot longer than a regular active component. So for example, the active duty sailors, they stay on the shore. This is a regular rotation. This isn't everybody's rotation, but it's a pretty common rotation for a lot of people. You start on active duty, you do maybe 3 years on shore duty, and then 5 years at sea. So that's my rotation, okay? That's for me. Now it's different depending on the command that you go to as well. So if you're overseas in Japan, your orders are going to be 3 years, even though you're only your rotation is normally 5 years at sea. So it'll be 3 years at sea in Japan. But I hope you guys understand what I'm saying here. Let's see, the next thing is just a little bit more details. You spend longer at these locations. So if you find yourself on sea duty somewhere, you're going to be there for a long time as an FTS sailor. And so one thing that I think it's important for you guys to know is really the purpose behind the full-time support sailors. It's, well, according to the instruction, it says to meet the reserve component readiness, right? To just make sure that the reserve component is enhanced, that, you know, people that are in the reserve component is actually deployable, that they're well trained, that they're actually staffing the reserve component. But these people, not just, you know, reservists. So, you know, reservists, we only do 1 weekend a month, then 2 weeks out of the year for what am I trying to say here? 2 weeks out of the year for annual training. So, I mean, imagine everybody in the Navy Reserves is only doing that. Like, if we're supposed to be the reserve, how are we going to be effective if there's ever a time where we're actually needed, okay? So them having that component makes sense. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to just throw in there is you can retire as a full-time support sailor, okay? The instruction that I read, it wasn't extremely clear, as if it was a active duty, like a regular active duty retirement, which is where you spend 20 years on active duty, and then you can actually get your retirement right away, or if it's for just exactly like the federal side, where you do 20 years, but you have to wait until you're like 65 to get that retirement, okay? So I don't know 100% about that, but this is the gist of how the full-time support or TAR component actually works. Now, I would like to know, what are you doing as far as the Navy is concerned? Are you someone that's watching this that is on active duty, that's transitioning or thinking about transitioning from active duty? Are you in the reserves? Are you a civilian and you're trying to figure out, should I go active duty? Should I go reserves? Let me know down in the comments. Also, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. And also, if you like this video, give it a like. Last thing, what else do you guys want to know about in regards to transitioning throughout the military? All right, y'all, that's the end of the video. I appreciate you for watching this to the end. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.